Welcome back to the NAL for our fourth game of today. Envy against Wildcard. Envy already had a little game of themselves, Sound of Siege, and Lax was only able to guess one correctly, which was the final one. So, you take it all. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Ginny, joined with Lax and Foxy. And Envy versus Wildcard is a pretty significant matchup here for the standings. Envy has been at the top for the entire time up until last week. They've been able to beat down on teams that are under them, but it's really the teams that are above them that are a little bit more difficult. So this is like the middle pack, like the perfect proving ground.
Yeah, if anything, I think more pressure is actually on Envy, given how they started the stage, given how well that they look, but then once they actually met that upper echelon of looking at like SSG, they look like one of the bottom teams. And it's not to say that Wildcard isn't a top team by any means. Sure, their performance isn't that great, but I wouldn't count them out, especially going against a team like Envy. I think Wildcard should be in the driver's seat here, where Envy still has a lot to prove.
Yeah, and Envy has that roster under lock, and they've been doing quite well, especially in the first couple of play days. Maybe last week, a little bit of a wake-up call in terms of what they need to potentially change coming into this one.
Yeah, I mean, we addressed it, obviously. They went up against SSG, a top team, and it just looked very bad for Envy. But I'll tell you why it looked bad. I mean, it just looked like Envy went into it with a game plan, and when things didn't go their way and they started to lose rounds, instead of focusing on a different game plan or playing together, they individualized. They started playing alone, started playing a little bit more ranked-esque. And obviously, when you look at the players on the team, that's honestly where they've learned when things go wrong, is to play a lot more ranked-oriented Siege. And you can even see it when it comes to their opening kill engagements. They struggled on being able to trade. That was the biggest issues. Yes, they weren't getting the opening kills, but they were so spread out that even if they lost that opening kill or any other death, they generally were not able to trade. That's because they just focused on trying to play their own game, trying to focus on themselves because the strats weren't working. And that's okay. That's natural progression of a team that's going from the bottom, slowly trying to become one of the top teams. You need a game like that to be able to set you back, to learn from and grow on what you need if things go wrong.
Yeah, you're talking about individuals specifically when it comes to Envy and some of their individualistic performances when things kind of like go wrong and them falling back on it. Rival is one of the players that we wanted to highlight as well coming into this one.
Yeah, because if we're going to focus on Envy playing individual against SSG on Bank, I feel like it's only fair to commend him for his good individual performance. And it goes to show that the players on Envy, not just Rival, but the whole team, but specifically Rival in the SSG match, that they can compete against those top teams individually. They can get those kills, they can win their ones. So it's not all hope is lost. They just have good players that, sometimes can win games, sometimes can't. They have the good players. Now they just need to be able to wrap it up. They have the good strategy. They just need to figure out what to do when things go wrong, figure out some backup plans, and Envy will look a lot more solid.
Yeah, and it's Wildcard that is going to be their proving and their testing ground today. I mean, Wildcard themselves, Laxa, is a roster that we've seen do great things in stage one, even casting our minds all the way back to the first international where we saw them compete. But it feels like that honeymoon phase is kind of fizzled out, and they're now looking to pick things back up.
Yeah, it's definitely fizzled out. I mean, from their first playday versus now, they're kind of teetering on still being okay and then possibly falling off. So for me, I really need to see a better performance, especially going against a team like Envy, where they should be able to exploit a lot of key fundamental errors that Envy was displaying in some of their matches, especially against SSG. But it leaves to question, are we going to see that? Because again, it's not to take anything away from Wildcard. Games have been relatively close, but it hasn't been convincing enough to be like, okay, this Wildcard is going to be this brand new roster versus stage one, where, like we said, the only time we saw them really come alive was at the very end to make playoffs and then into playoffs, and then unfortunately lost out on making EWC.
Yeah, I think as well, like during stage one, they had like quite a decent amount of excuses, specifically where it was like, okay, the team's no longer all in the same facility, but I feel like at this point, you've had enough time. It's time to lock in, and you can't really rely on those anymore. Now it's really where you have to prove to us what you're made of. And one player as well that we're looking to highlight and showcase here was Kansan, specifically from the side of Wildcard, because it feels like as the team has kind of gone down from stage one to second, he's kind of been on that downward trajectory as well.
Yeah, it hasn't been great, and it also clearly is showing that they're struggling on their attacks in particular. And I also want to contribute that to Kansan just not being able to find as much success as he found prior. And I think that's just due to him having to flex around. When we looked at his last stage, he was performing extraordinarily well. And I think that was due to the lack of performance from other players, similar to Dash and Baby Shark. He had to step up. Now those players are performing, and he's starting to take a step back, but I think that's due to the role that he's on. I would much rather have him off of that flex and more on a main entry, being able to play with Bay and being able to double off one another.
Yeah.
And, when you look at their attacks right now, they're the 8th lowest rated team. So for me, again, Kansan did such a good job in his previous stage playing on those Ashe, maybe flexing around to that Nomad, but I would like to see him more stationary again on that entry role, because them getting those opening kills, them creating that space, and then just doing the mid to late round off of Spiker's calling, I think will pay off far more than what we're currently seeing now. But I think if you're going to test anything, or you really just want to get everything underneath your belt going in throughout this week, you do have to take advantage of playing against a team like Envy, where, like I said, you can exploit a lot of fundamental errors just from what we just recently saw in their SSG game.
Yeah, and one of those fundamentals that could potentially be exploited is going to start off with the map veto. We saw it in the last game, how important and crucial that can be for teams, even teams from higher echelons like DZ. So here, what are we looking at?
I mean, we've talked about it, that Wildcard's map pool is very limited. They can play Chalet, Club, it's very cut and dry with the maps that they're good at. And they've been trying to expand their map pool, which could be the reason why their performance this stage hasn't necessarily looked thrilling. When it comes to Envy, everything is a potential risk to go to, because Envy hasn't really shown that much. They're looking like a brand new team. So they just want to be able to take out some of the comfortable maps for Wildcard and go to a common denominator of a map, which is going to be Labs, which makes a lot of sense for Envy to want to go to it. You're trying to get rid of all of the good maps. They got rid of Club, Border, and Chalet to take out Wildcard, and they're just going to the least resistant of a map that's not going to be Wildcard's best maps.
This is interesting. Well, I mean, Wildcard, they're 4-1 on this, where Envy is 0-1. And you got to remember, you go back to all the way to start off the stage. They versed M80. They got 2 rounds, and they got immediately decimated by M80, where we just recently saw Wildcard win 7-2 against SSG and just made SSG not even look like they were a top contending team. Yeah. So for me, this is not a right approach for Envy. Even for Wildcard to ban out Skyscraper, where they dominated them last stage, where they completely kind of, similar to what Giddy said, they just read into the strats, they didn't change anything. That's exactly what happened to Envy on that Skyscraper. So for even Wildcard to remove Skyscraper and still pushing it, I think both 2 maps went in their favor. They're all meditating clearly, but I don't really think this is a great map for Envy, and I'm not envious of that, just given the lack of performance. Sure, they've had time to work on it. I don't think it's going to be that convincing compared to how well Wildcard plays.
I would like to hear predictions as well, considering, I mean, now that we've seen the map, Vito.
I kind of disagree. I feel like it's a good map. I think Wildcard looks so good against SSG on Labs because of SSG's faults. Wildcard didn't do anything specific. They just held positions. They played behind their utility. And that's also one of the biggest issues, is when you have Kansan and all the players having to focus on utility as opposed to just focusing on the entry, that's where Wildcard has their issues on their entries. And so Envy going to this map is instantly just taking away those players' ability to just focus on that. So it makes a lot of sense why Envy would want to go to a map like Labs.
And I really want to leave this room right now because I don't know what 2 of you got going on. So I'm going to toss it over to the casters as they're going to be covering this game. And guys, just take it away.
Thank you so much. We head to Labs for our 4th game of the night. One of my favorite maps here, Jesse. We really are getting treated. We've had just about everything so far. We've had 7-0s. We've had nearly an overtime, but a very competitive game. What else could be in store?
Well, I think an actual overtime might be nice between these 2 teams. Hopefully we won't be repeating what we saw in stage 1, which was a 7-2 domination for Wildcard here in the All-Texan Lone Star Showdown between the Dallas-based Envy versus Houston-based Wildcard. Listen, some people on the desk didn't seem to like this choice, right? Laxing gave us the stats. This is a 4-1 map for Wildcard. It's 0-1 map for MV. But what Laxing may not have considered is that Wildcard have never beaten Stompin' on this map. Meanwhile, MV, back when they were JJ & Co. in the NA Challenger Series, beat Stompin' not once, but twice on a map here, Nighthaven Labs. So certainly could see some bounce back come through from Envy. Their stage 1 game against M80 wasn't all that, but Envy are looking like a brand new team. As we get into the operator bans here, we'll get to kind of see what approach both these squads want to take. Usually defenders on this map will ban out Bandit and Kaid. It'd be very surprising if we don't see both Bandit and Kaid being removed. And then the attackers, you see a lot more variety. Hard breachers are common on this map. Blitz is common on this map, as we've seen be removed. Then Ying, Glaz, these common operators we see on many maps are very often the target.
I'm a bit of a fan of the hard breach ban. I think that can often force teams into a Maverick, and, well, Maverick isn't guaranteed, and it isn't that safe either. So it's something to consider. You always need a good Maverick player if you're going to be a good team on Labs. I think we're just going to hit a very short rehost, and something was upset with the lobby, and we're going to cut to a very short break, but don't go anywhere, because as soon as this lobby's back up and running, we will be back.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
All secured. New feed active.
Oh, apologies. Welcome, everybody.
Now you see
We are back. You haven't missed any of the action. We are going to be joining Envy versus Wildcard here for our fourth game of the night. We've got the lobby all set up, ready to go. And interestingly, Jesse, we haven't seen any hard breach bans.
Yeah, a little bit of an unorthodox thing to see on Nighthaven Labs. We've seen it before so far this stage. There's been a real smorgasbord of band operators banned on the attacking side, but generally hard breachers have been the focus throughout both Stage 1 and EWC on this map, so definitely interested to see the meta shift a little bit. Maybe teams feeling like the wall's going to get opened anyways with Maverick and can openers, Habana tricks these days too, and even with Ace being able to open the full wall. See a lot of good opportunities to open walls up, even when you ban some of those hard breachers. So Envy will go a different route and take out the Dokkaebi and the Blitz, two operators that we do see run by Wildcard from time to time. And Rival, less than 30 seconds into the game's beginning, will take down Bay, a huge opening pick coming through from Team Envy. Rival starting off strong just a few days after his 21st birthday, which was back on Tuesday, September 16th.
Well, happy birthday to Rival, eh?
Happy birthday.
Unfortunate to lose the old Nomad straight away. Certainly gives a little bit more flexibility to these defenders. It's always just a disgusting breach when there's a mirror window placed on it. There's just no good way of dealing with it. Habana is going to be giving it their best attempt to try and make that somewhat passable. Despite losing the opening body, Wildcard haven't really been able to do all that much so far. Very ambitious C4 toss that comes through. Dash just walked right into that one. Yeah, the mirror window's open, but damage done and continuing to be done. This breach is a mess.
Yeah, Wildcard needs something desperate at this point. They wanted that pushing through to connector to be their main brunt of the push, but it doesn't look very doable now. They got to go backup plan in through rafters. Baby Shark and Kansan are here. They've still got Spiker with the fuse kit outside of IT. He has to join the team at some point.
Kansan knocking on the door of the site right now. Keep barricades. He got a glimpse of Emilio there. A prone player with a C4. No one's going to be accounting for that. Just time this well, Snake. You might be gifted with two. Just has to be cautious of the drone hole and is paying good attention to that. Wildcard think better of it. Instead, they're going to go somewhere else where instantly Snake can just rotate and send us another C4, which nearly takes Kansan down, but unfortunately, it's going to be the team kill from Baby Shark. Baby Shark good for one, but he's going to need to do a lot more than that in round one. Wildcard are looking to walk away with this round. Almost the full strength of the defense is still alive. They have got 30 seconds to hold on, but these players are dug in, and they are dug in tight. Trademark end to the round. Usually, if Envy win, JJ will just give a nice little yell. Both hands in like a power position, you know? It's always fun to watch.
Yeah, well, that one didn't really need the yells. I mean, it was pretty cut and dry from Envy since the very beginning. A really strong start to that round with the opening pick going the way of Rival. I know that's a real area that Envy have been focused on improving. It was an interview with Laxing last week where JJ Blast said that that was their key focus with winning more of those opening picks. Last week, they won just 33% of them. They do have the lowest entry win rate in the entire league right now, so I know that's going to be a point that they're focused on and something we'll continue to watch throughout this game as well. But if you can take the fight to your opponent, get aggressive with some attempted spawn peaks, get some early frags down onto important players like Bay on that Nomad, like the Nitrocell landing onto Kansan, it's going to make all the difference in the world for Envy. So take these rounds and make them as easy as possible for yourself. Get yourself that advantage, then lock things down nice and simple.
5 seconds left.
If you're Envy, the goal really today should be drag things out as long as possible. Wildcard have not been a good team at closing out games this stage, so if you can at least get to kind of 5-6 rounds, that 7th should be looking pretty good for you.
I always enjoy seeing where players are placing these Denari trip gadgets. It's still relative, well, it's still pretty much brand new in terms of siege utility. Did you catch the Brazilian broadcast where they placed them on the underneath the tread of the stairs on bank? Like there's a lip on the stairs, and that was catching players out.
Yeah.
On Saturday, might have been Sunday. It all sort of rolled into one the weekend, but there are some fantastic placements for these trips, and you know, you don't always see them come through, but it is just another thing for for attackers to worry about. And when you've got a team that is maybe a little bit more overcautious or kind of heavy on the drone game, it sounds like a small thing, but when you compound it and add it with everything else, it really can do quite a lot to slow things down. At the moment, the site looks fairly empty, and Bay's recognized that and has already got himself into single breach.
Got to be a little careful. You are in Animus now, but there will be fast retreats back to site. Emilio up in Warehouse, and you got Storage as well being played by Snake for good vert angles. So there are still quick routes back to site, but yeah, as far as getting in right now, things are looking pretty good. A Yokai gets cleared up by Bay, so that opens the door up for a potential plant. Dash is just behind Bay here on the Aurora, and as he's closing the gates, X, I mean, this could just be a fast execute here into tank.
One of the advantages of Aurora, Dash actually goes down in the process though. He was the diffuser holder. Those Aurora doors have now been opened up, and there's no real way for recovering your downed teammate. JJ, he's got a plethora of cameras to flick and continues to do so. There was no real backstab on this. There was no real vert control or pressure. And as such, Wildcard have kind of petered out a little bit. They will get a kill onto Rival, but with 2 players above Animus tank, it's a very difficult transition to make. If these 2 players on Envy are able to stand somewhat firm, they might be in with a good chance right now. Kansan will find Aiden. Cautionary stun out as well. Baby Shark still good for one. Snake left with a lot to do and unable to pull it off. Wildcard, despite having the diffuser down in pretty much no man's land, do manage to salvage the round there.
Yeah, very worrying when Dash dies planting that defuse kit. I think it was Aiden on the long angler from Cargo that was able to just see a foot sticking out or something, but it didn't seem to matter, right? I mean, the kills were all going the way of Wildcard there. I thought Baby Shark in particular, playing from just outside the building, was able to do a whole lot of work. They knew they didn't have much map control in that round. They were fully aware that as far as that round was looking, they just did not have good control of the map, but they were holding such strong crosses. I mean, even that Kiba barrier working against the Azami, actually favoring Wildcard in that round to be able to get the cutoff was really, really nice to come through for them. So, yeah, I like their knowledge of what they had control of and what they didn't in that round. Even if plan A didn't really go the way they wanted it to, they had a really strong plan B. Envy just kind of panicked a little bit, got in their own heads a bit, and even after the fact that they had denied that plant, ended up losing a lot of those gunfights. So, nice for Wildcard to rein that one in. Keep us close here now, 1-1.
Yeah, small overreaction from Envy, but I think easily corrected moving forward. They're maybe just trying a little bit too much in round 2, and they're going to go for something slightly more straightforward here in round 3. It's the mid floor, which usually demands that you maintain control above and a nice angle to kick things off from Rival. I'm never thrilled when I see the smoke going for a spawn peak. Oh, I mean, he gets the down. He won't be able to confirm it, but a down's a down, I guess.
Honestly, the Toxic Babe, I think he could confirm it, but it's a little bit risky.
You're right. He just doesn't want it enough.
It would have been bold. It would have been crazy, but not this time around. Fair enough. You're right. Losing the smoke early would have been pretty devastating. Getting the kill on Thermite would have been just as huge. There are still cans being played by Dash, so it wouldn't have been instant game over, but Thermite is so good on this map. Opening that IT wall is absolutely critical. As it opens and Dash is in position, so is Baby Shark. We could be in a fast push situation. It's just Rival playing inside of storage at the moment, so he would need to be able to dodge those Candelas. Here it comes.
I'm kind of worried about this because the diffuser's miles away. It could just be a big bait from Wildcard to try and force a reaction, and with the stance that Baby Shark's now taking, he's almost expecting someone to kind of just send it out of the breach. Well, there's been no reaction from Envy. This hasn't worked. They've got good information. They knew that that was a little bit of a bait, and instead of stood firm upstairs, it was kind of a cheap trick in order to gain a bit of control upstairs by forcing players to overreact and rotate. But it hasn't worked. And when those don't work out, all you really do as an attacker is lose a lot of utility. That's a couple of Candelas. They would have been crucial later on. No misdrone today, though. Snake forced off the position upstairs. With the hatch already open, can easily drop off. Dash now looking to move through this top floor. But it's going to be Kansan to open things up right now for Wildcard.
And Aiden's just got to turn tail and run. He knows that he's being washed up at that top floor, and so they're just going to have to hold this horizontally, fully conceding up above to Wildcard. This is a dangerous proposition. They can get some really strong vert angles inside of control now if they want to. JJ will try to play down below. There are some really strong nitro spots on this map, but you've got to have good information onto where that plant is happening. Wildcard have started to apply pressure, but there's nobody actually here. Since they've got full top floor control, that's where their team is. JJ might have positioned himself perfectly, but they still need to be able to stop this plant when it comes in. They have to be aware of where it's coming.
You can see Baby Shark's calling for that hatch to be open now as well. He's going to get a kill onto Rival. The shotgun rotating into position. Drops now, needs to secure this kill. Knows that the win condition is going to be this Valkyrie underneath. The Spiker starts to get that plant down. Good for tanking the C4. It was a little bit off target. Baby Shark already 2 steps ahead. Snake has stopped the diffuser going down in its tracks, though. With only a couple of seconds left to go, he has to stay alive. Drops to the floor, somehow manages to do it. How was he able to sneak into the site at that particular moment? It should have been entirely locked down by Wildcard.
And that is absolutely tragic, Ollie. Snake in the 1v5. JJ is not able to do anything with the nitro. There's just Spiker on 1 HP planted the defuse kit. Snake wins the fight onto the Dash, who could not have the proper cover, kills Spiker, and then nobody else is really in a position to help. Kansan's inside control, desperately trying to get to the site fast enough. Baby Shark, we saw down below, getting his 1 kill, and Bay was holding from up above. He was inside of rafters. Nobody was really able to respond to Snake, who was just playing in lounge that whole time. In a really powerful position, and the one thing that was not being considered by Wildcard was the one thing that came back to bite them. Absolutely insane clutch coming back from Snake. Wildcard, I mean, they gotta be kicking themselves to lose that 1v5 round. Snake has no business walking away with it, but there's just no reaction at all, and the time is way too low to do anything.
It's a real big missed opportunity there from Wildcard. And one of the things that separates teams that go on to, you know, grow and continue to do great things, hit majors, hit SIs, win international games, and then ones that don't. And that's one of those markers. That's one of those big opportunities. When a round is gifted to you like that, I understand the idea of getting the diffuser down. I understand that being a win condition. But when you've got the man count, sometimes you've also got to commit to finding that last player, because all it takes is a couple of kills. All it takes is 2 bullets and 2 people are dead. It wasn't quite that impressive, but it was still a fantastic move. It was very slippy.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show it can and does happen. Wildcard, they'll be kicking themselves for that one. It should be a 2-1 game, but as such, Envy have just taken a very narrow lead for the time being. Spiker should have a slightly easier time of opening this breach this time, given that there's no mirror window placed on it. And he's not going to waste any time immediately getting there, not allowing Mirror to place one later, although Aiden does seem to have already committed both at the moment. No angle at the moment for Spiker to find, and just needs to wait for a little bit of backup with a bailiff. to rip the rest of that open, as it has already been made soft.
Might take a little bit of time, but shouldn't be too big of an issue here. So good to see this movement from Wildcard. You can't let that last round get stuck in your mind. You don't want to tilt off a round like that. I honestly think that the mental game has really been the bane of Wildcard this stage. They have lost all 3 games that have gone at least 12 rounds this stage. Anytime things seem to get close, it feels like they start choking. Doesn't mean they're not still a strong team fundamentally. They're extremely talented, but I just think the pressure can get to this team sometimes. They've got to stay locked in. So far, I think the breaching's been going extremely well. Connector's been opened up, IT's been opened up, the mirror windows have been cleared out. You've got good coverage down below with both Dash and Baby Shark playing below the site. Starting to take some gunfights now too. It's damage on the Baby Shark, but it's the Nitro that strikes first as Snake finds Bay.
Oh, it doesn't stop there. Emilio and JJ immediately pile on with kills of their own. Kansan and Spike are the 2 hard breachers. Left 2 versus 5. Not really seeing much utility exchanged aside from a bit of hard breach this round. Oh, Spiker! It's sat by Emilio. I mean, what are you to expect from Kansan here? Does dodge out of the way of the C4, but he's damned if you do, damned if he doesn't. Swung by Bay to finish things off in what is a flawless round for Envy. And they're really starting to up the pace here.
Yeah, it feels like, honestly, Envy are really taking this game by the reins and they're running with it. They're starting to make some aggressive moves, even from the passive players. It was the support duo of JJ Blast and Emilio that really took that round into their own hands. Emilio was playing Raptors. He pushes down the stairs to kill Baby Shark. JJ is playing Fish Stairs. He pushes down again to kill Dash. At the same time, the support duo of Envy make that aggressive move to clear out the pressure that they were facing from down below. At the same time, that's of course being called by Aiden, who's receiving that vertical pressure. It's being called by Snake, who's busy tossing his nitro cell inside of electrical. It's a real team effort to make that happen, but they're doing a great job of identifying what Wildcard want to go for and then making sure that they can have the adaptations to counter it. Not afraid to just sit and let them do what they want. They're happy to get aggressive and punish that before Wildcard can get set up on the executes they're looking for. It's been a really strong start, and it'll actually force Wildcard to call their attack timeout relatively early in this game. I've got former Team Liquid IGL Lagonis coaching this squad, in case you forgot. Happened just at the start of this season, so he's got a ton of experience to try to help out this young team and get them back on the right track.
I think already this is a better lineup from Wildcard. I think up until this point, they've not been bringing a good enough selection of, let's call them meta operators. We've had a Nomad ban, for goodness sake. Like, when do we ever see a Nomad ban?
Yeah.
Play the Ying, play the Monty, play the things that are strong and execute well with them. Now, we've seen them play a little bit of Ying already. And let's be honest, that was one of the rounds that they should have won.
10 seconds to go.
Now, I've spoken all of that into existence, and obviously, everyone's decided to 6-pick off. We do still have the Monty, though, which at least is something, but it's immediately countered by the Clash.
Waiting for your command.
Yeah, I think it's...
Someone around to your shoulder.
Choose now to bring the Clash. Like, it's just perfect, isn't it?
It's a really good read by Aiden, and I think whether that's intentional or not, you know, you're going up against Dash. Dash is 0-4. And when Dash was struggling in stage 1, oftentimes he would hop on these shields to try to get something going, not just for his team, but for himself personally. He's really been the shield guy for a Wildcard, and I think he's done a great job when he's had to pull out the Monty, but he's also been inconsistent when not on that Monty. In stage 1, after 2 weeks, he was minus 32. He's been way better in stage 2. He's actually the only player currently positive on Wildcard, but now you come into this game against Envy, you start 0-4, you start to doubt yourself. This is when the Monty comes out, the panic Monty, as some like to call it. I don't know, Wally, it's not the easiest round for this operator, but clearly putting a gun in his hands wasn't working either.
I am some people. I like to call it a panic Monty as well. Just to go on the record, I will go on the record and say that. I'm a little bit concerned with how he's playing as well. De-shielded, sort of peeking around the corner, like, just use it as the human drone, gather the information, bear down on these defenders. Wildcard. Very compact at the moment. 3 players all inside a kitchen in quite a small square meterage, really. Eventually will start to push down. There's a clash shield at the top of the stairs. It's Snake to kick things off again here. Kansan going down and just no response. Candela's cooked, sent down the stairs. Should be enough to displace the player, Emilio. Be able to rotate back down to site. You've still got the small problem of the clash stood at the top of the stairs. And those nades, they're not going to do too much at all. Great C4 from Snake. Some brilliant teamwork right now. And if everything has to go down on vending stairs, then so be it. Dash left in the clutches. Good for a down. Can't confirm. Aiden, one shield against another, is quicker on the draw. Able to change to that secondary. And Envy continue to dominate here on Labs.
And what a perfect defense it was. Wildcard, very obvious in their push in that round. They didn't go for a full clear of the map. They were going to go very isolated in through cafeteria. That's read immediately by Aiden, who's standing up there on the clash, can stall all of that push, all of that momentum that Wildcard were trying to bring immediately out of the tack timeout. Snake, I believe, found Kansan on the main assembly breach. He had opened it up with a can opener, and must have been a nice shot from Snake down inside of sight, because he was not playing super aggressively when he got that opening pick. Then lands the nitro, then Emilio pops off, and Aiden for the last why not. It is perfect coordination between these players on MB. Even though Aiden has not been on this team long, I think he is he's adapted onto the squad extremely quickly. Been looking absolutely fantastic. MVP in one of their games earlier on in this stage, and now putting up a big performance right alongside Emilio, right alongside Snake. This is honestly one of those games where, like, you look at both sides and there's a lot of inexperience. You know, you guys like Baby Shark, even guys like Spiker, who've been around for a long time but are still on the younger side, haven't been to too many international events. And MB, of course, quite a few rookies on this team as well. Someone like Snake kind of brings that experience. Former TSM player, was at the Yongshiping Major alongside Bolo, has played on some of the biggest stages, and well, we've seen him put that experience to work today.
It's always nice to get a mix, isn't it? And sometimes you do just find yourself on more of a rookie-based team, or a team that has been around for a while but maybe hasn't got the same level of experience as players that have been playing for a similar amount of time. I will agree with your Aiden point, though. Sometimes that's what you need as well. You need a sort of almost a newer player in some ways, or a player that hasn't experienced a lot of different teams, so that you can kind of nail that cohesion for the first time instead of them coming in with too many ideas. And it's just like, nope, this is the way we're going to do it. And if it's the right way and it works, then brilliant. It seems to be working tonight, at least. 4-1 lead right now for Envy. Wildcard, kind of stunned. Like, which sort of direction do they go right now? This is, of course, the round where they got, I would say, the closest to walking away with any sort of favor inside of that mid floor.
Yep.
Instead of JJ being on the old Valkyrie, he's gone over to the Pulse. Now, the Valkyrie cameras didn't last long last time. I think it was Kansan on the IQ that did a great job of clearing those out. But as is the way quite often, when you play the Valkyrie, they'll play the IQ. If you don't play the Valkyrie, there's no IQ to be seen. And that's one of those occasions now, but at least it means that there should be a little bit more freedom downstairs for JJ. As denying the plant is definitely a key intention here from Envy.
We're just rushing in through bottom garage. They cleared out JJ from below, and now they're inside of control. The Toxic Babe will be a big problem, but it doesn't get detonated for a minute. Allows Kansan to back off and take the other engagement over towards Cargo, but there's two players here, X, fighting both and losing the one to Rival. Now it's a man advantage for Envy as they have stunted this push.
That's a really good double up at the top of those cargo stairs. Envy playing exceptionally as a team. They've definitely got one another's back here tonight. Baby Shark, he might have 3 tracks, but he's got to make his rotation up. Exo Dash is going for the plant. We've seen this film before. We know what happens. Where's the denial? There's not sufficient vert. He's been allowed to get back outside. This is very difficult to retake despite the advantage. Baby Shark left out in the cold as Dash wasn't able to get too far outside before he got taken down, and Baby Shark's now left guessing. No one's actually gotten onto that diffuser straight away either. A nade should displace Aiden right now, but he's just going to stand firm and win his engagement. It's going to be Snake to back him up and immediately hop on and disable that diffuser.
Maybe a bit of a mistake earlier on for Snake, not having the vert holes made for him. He also didn't have any impacts. I believe used both of them extremely early on, either for rotates in the prep phase or something else within the first 10 seconds of the round. So I was a little nervous when Snake couldn't get the denial, but he finds the frags late round anyways. You might get a plant down, but you are not winning the round. A 5-1 first half for Envy. Last week, they got a bit of a rude awakening after finally playing one of the top teams in the league. They go up against SSG. They lose 7-2. A nice welcome to the big boy table. But here against Wildcard, a team that I think on paper would have been the favorites going up against the rookie team of Envy, they've looked head and shoulders above of their opponents. Wildcard's attacks were not being put together. They're going to have to claw this back on defense. When they played this map earlier in the stage, they did win all their defensive rounds, but they only needed 3, and that was against Space Station Gaming. So really tough to say how this second half's going to go.
I feel like Blackbeard was robbed that last round, by the way. I have no idea how that was a headshot. You literally saw the blood coming off it as well. It was like, it would have been like a shoulder or something.
Must have been.
But it just seemed like it lined up perfectly. That's the way the cookie crumbles, and Envy are playing very well. I mean, Blackbeard could even get that kill, and I don't think it really matters in terms of the round and the way that it plays.
Yeah.
The teamwork so far from the side of Envy is it's been a cut above the rest. And, you know, it's not to say that Wildcard have played poorly. I just don't think that they've approached the situation in the best possible way. Kansan, what are these? Ooh, okay.
Nice. Okay. That's a cool
see
setup.
I see the vision.
So you stack 2 in the corner, so you get the double line, and then you only need 1 on each of the other sides.
It's just horrible, though, isn't it? Like, imagine hopping in through that window and having to look 90 degrees to your left to try and shoot that whilst you're worried about a C4 coming over the top, someone swinging with a shotgun, and everything else that's going on. It's just disgusting. There is at least a Twitch, so Shock Drone is going to be your go-to at dealing with those trips from a distance. That, any explosive, Flores, there's plenty of ways and means of getting rid of it. It just means that your utility is a little bit further stretched thinly, but we might not even get to it in this round, because very quickly JJ has taken full control of Rafters, and Wildcard did not want to challenge at all. Breach open, Adrenal Stim, JJ bursting through. Okay, you've got Azami, but you've not got an Azami in Rafters. Rival on an opposing shield on the old Blackbeard. He's able to come up from the bottom of Garage and provide a little bit more support. Now with this wall getting open, it could get quite complicated.
At the same time, though, it's almost so simple. I mean, every single player on Envy is in Garage, where they were a moment ago. Now they start to spread out. I do think for this push, you need some second dimension, whether that's going to be coming in through connector here that JJ is looking at, or whether that means you rotate over to the Aqua stairs. They've got options, but I don't think they can make a push with all 5 players just trying to force their way in through Rafters.
It would be ill-advised. JJ is doing laps, especially considering that he's a Monty. I do worry a little bit. He's a little bit too preoccupied with the trip, and I don't think he's got a single clue that Baby Shark is laid prone. Sends the secondary EMP out. Baby Shark's just got to bide his time right now. He does have a C4 if he wants as well. Rival, opening pick over onto Dash. Oh, be patient, Baby Shark. Finds one, misses the second. You wonder if it's the right decision, but only time will tell. With Bay and Kansan falling, it very well may have been the wrong one. JJ can start to get this plant down now. A Spiker has no choice but to retake. Is able to stop the plant from going down. Toxic Babe is going to buy him a little bit of time, but everybody knows where he is, and site utility can start to be used against him. Those Vulcan packs, they work both ways. The diffuser has been recovered by Rival, and Emilio has to cover this. Bay's still alive, so could be providing a little bit of information. Under the cover of a Toxic Babe, he is able to move through, but not for long. Emilio there with the cover. The diffuser just going down in the nick of time. Another great round from Envy.
A devastating way to lose that round, though, too, if you're Wildcard. I mean, Baby Shark in the perfect position. A Monty army crawling his way across his screen and not able to capitalize on it. Oh, the French rookie is going to regret that round. He gets 1, but it's not quite enough. I really like the rotate coming in from Spiker. At about 60 seconds, he realized the push was not going to come Aqua. It was going to be fully in through Rafters, and then Connector was going to be the goal for that push. So he walked down the Aqua stairs, rotated all the way through that first floor, and found himself in the perfect spot to deny the plant in the 1v3. But it didn't seem to matter in the end. They were able to re-pick up that defuse kit, and he just didn't have intel in the 1v2. So tough round there for Spiker. But man, 6-1 now from Envy. People wondered if they were the real deal after getting smacked around by Space Station last week, but this is looking absolutely fantastic.
Best team in the league.
Best team in the league.
Best team in the league. I mean, you know, it's a joke, but they're performing. I'm just so pleased to see the improvement. I
Yes.
love watching teams improve stage to stage, because you know that behind that improvement is tens and hundreds of hours of work that these guys have been putting in. And it's work on everything as well. It's, you know, it's not just being able to shoot better, and there's a cap to that sort of thing. It's teamwork, it's building that synergy, building those friendships and bonds. And it's clear to see that they've been putting a heck of a lot of effort into it, and it's nice to see them be rewarded for it. The game isn't over. Wildcard could very well win the next 5 rounds and take us to an overtime. But unfortunately, it looks like it's going to be our third quick game of the night, as Wildcard have already used that tactical timeout, and Envy they've just got too many opportunities to convert this now.
Yeah, Wildcard, as they start winning rounds too, will get locked out of more and more bomb sites. So, I mean, it's not going to get any easier as the half progresses. This will be their best shot, doing their best to defend now, but I honestly think the slowdown has been pretty solid for them. Envy have yet to really get in the building. JJ's entered in through Kitchen, Aiden's there as well. So it looks to be a very similar push to what we saw coming out from Wildcard just a couple rounds ago. Envy stopped that with a really strong clash play coming in from Aiden and some big kills from Snake. No clash to be seen on the side of Wildcard, but the Nitro cells are there just the same. Spiker opens us up with a kill onto Aiden. He's looking for one outside the main breach too.
Big opening pick for Wildcard there. The only C4 that they've brought, good utility, great swing onto Emilio. I mean, you can't fault Emilio for trying. I think he's got to go for something there, but just gets sat down straight away. And a fantastic swing from Baby Shark, even better. Deleting Rival off the angle. This very well could be a Wildcard round right now. JJ half HP. Snake, he's been the magic man so far tonight, but there is no magic to be found. A flawless for Wildcard, as somehow they managed to pull around seemingly out of thin air, Jesse.
Yeah, what an answer to come through. Not just a round win, but a flawless one at that, to come out so dominantly. Some big swings really started that round. It wasn't even a successful swing, but the spawn peak coming out from Baby Shark, I think, really set the pace for that round. Everybody willing to step up and take gunfights, feeling, guys, whatever, we're down 6-1. What do we have to lose? Let's start swinging things. On the main breach, Spiker's able to get 1 plus the C4. Then you've got more swings coming out from Baby Shark. Every swing goes their direction. And if you're going to mount the comeback now, if you're going to drag this back to overtime, it's got to start by breaking the mental. You know, you need to get it into your opponent's head that they are choking, they are not good enough to close out this game, and that you are back in control. I think in a situation like this, getting a flawless round win, keeping all your players alive, actually means quite a bit to start to get that ball rolling once again and to try to mount the comeback. Plenty to go still, but I mean, that's how it'll start.
Flawless round this time. Couple of kills from Dash next. You know, you never know what might happen. Wouldn't take too much for them to tip the balance. I mean, on the face of it, there's at least one other round that Wildcard should have up there. And that's without even being generous. Like,
Yeah.
Envy are going for quite an oppressive lineup. Maybe a bit of an understatement. They've got 3 shields. We never see 3 shields. I mean, in part because we never really see 3 shields available. But the point still remains. We never see 3. Now, it might seem like a great plan, and on the face of it, it could be. But you got to look at what else you're bringing and what you're missing out on by bringing those shields. Now, with the way that Envy have played them so far, they've done a really good job of taking very quick control. Usually, with this little Finker combination and the shields. Finker, of course, aiding the shields somewhat, making them a little bit quicker on the old ADS. But I don't think anybody knows about Spiker right now. And he's got a good bit of information. The Vulcan pack is going to be the first tier of defense, and Spiker with the C4 the second. That lineup isn't a difficult one to hit, and I don't think he's going to get checked down here.
Oh, I mean, all they need to do is roll on a drone, but you're right. They've got no clue of his position. Could be an absolutely brutal Nitro. That's what started the previous round off strong. And here comes the Finka stim. There's the Nitro. Bounces off the Monty shield and shot. Greatly countered coming in from Envy. Now Spiker's in a bit of an awkward position. Doesn't know where to go. Spiker wins this fight anyways, though, and so does Baby Shark.
2 huge kills there, especially considering that the C4 was shot. That C4 certainly wasn't. Now you've got a bit of a shield sandwich, but it doesn't look like it's going to matter. Baby Shark, good for 3, good for 4, back-to-back flawlesses.
All right.
Where have these rounds been, Jesse?
They've just been waiting for Baby Shark, apparently, Ollie. I mean, stepping up 13 kills now in this game. Baby Shark is one of the most talented young players we have here in North America. He's maybe not so consistent. He went +9 in week 1, one of the best players on Wildcard. He went -11 last week, completely disappeared from this team. Now starting off week 3 with an absolute ridiculous stat line coming through. +8 at the moment, 13 and 5, best player in the lobby. He has been turning this game around for Wildcard, and it will immediately prompt attack timeout to come through from Envy. We spent a lot of time talking about the mental game of Wildcard, how they've thrown a lot of games so far this stage, how they've gotten so close, but have remained so far. But how about Envy? Haven't really been in one of these clutch situations in a long time. They had that 7-5 win over LFO, if my memory is correct. But otherwise, haven't had too many close games so far this stage. This might be their first real test if this game goes late.
It's always a challenge when a team that isn't used to either seeing great success or facing big challenges then comes up against a big challenge, because you never really know how they're gonna stand up to it, whether they're gonna crumble under the pressure or whether they're gonna really shine and be able to dig deep. Tactical timeout being used now, so at least they're getting that one out of the way nice and early. Because I'll be honest with you, I think that round goes better if one of the shields is banned, because they have literally just gone, let's just play 3 shields because that's strong, but they haven't had great strategy behind it. Whereas now with the Monty being removed, it is going to force them into playing a little bit more together, a little bit more, you know, without relying on the cheese, if you will.
For sure.
So hopefully they'll sort of stray away from the shields, because yeah, the shields are strong, but you've also got to know how to use them. And when you're playing 3, there's no one to capitalize on the players that you're bullying around. You need to play 1 shield and play it really well, or 2 at a push. I think that was just very easily read into, and it was kind of blindly done because they'd done no homework, they'd done no good droning to understand what the setup was that they were actually going against. It was just like, well, we've played shields, we must win. But that isn't the case. And Wildcard proved that even if you go up against 3 shields, you can still get a flawless round. Who knew? No shields this time. Instead, Envy forced into a little bit more of a proper route, and I guess the tactical timeout really sort of coming in for that, and to sort of tell them, look, knuckle down. You don't need to be going fancy. You don't need to be playing all those fancy things. Just keep it simple. A little bit of Maverick action. Maverick, extremely popular on Labs. I can't believe that we've waited until round 10 to see it, as it's usually a bit of a go-to for most teams.
Yeah, I guess without hard breach bans, wasn't super needed in that first half, but Wildcard have really leaned into that, of course, so it does need to be brought out here by Envy. There is 1 shield being brought, of course. It's not from Envy. It is Kansan on this clash, by far his most common operator when defending the top floor of Nighthaven. So shouldn't be a surprise for Envy. This is hopefully something that they have prepared for. Nobody playing down below, so Envy have taken that space largely for free, and they start to look towards Rafters. This is Zombie is in a really tough spot, but Bay wins the fight anyways. Aiden's watching it, but it doesn't matter as he gets completely out-dueled.
Wildcard have been winning some insane engagements.
Yeah.
Dash will fall as a consequence of that opening pick, but Bay isn't done there. Another round, another multi-kill. Doesn't look like he's finished either. He's still pretty solid on this catwalk. Rival's got a tough challenge ahead of him. Nothing really to deal with those cube barricades. Again, it feels like Envy haven't brought the best tools for the job. Now able to get that pocket reinforce off. Some fantastic teamwork there. Smoke canisters to cover the cross. Snake barbed wire off at the bottom, so can't affect the round in any way, or at least what's going on the rafters. And a pocket reinforcement just to secure a little bit further. It's going to continue to slow Envy down right now.
Yeah, you've got to get something going, either with this pressure from down below being played by a rival or with somebody else working a pick. Both Snake and Emilio chilling up inside of rafters at the moment. Rival probably going to have to walk up Aqua to make this push at least somewhat two-dimensional. Otherwise, it's looking really tough. And against a Clash, you need that secondary angle. A couple of smokes to plant under will be absolutely critical if this push has any chance of succeeding. We'll see what Envy can manage.
Nice little kill hole that Emilio's made, but as soon as the pressure starts coming in from the book below, the players inside immediately make for safer ground. Kansan on the Clash. He can stun and call out to his heart's content right now. 15 seconds isn't a long time to hold on. But Wildcard don't want to wait. They're going to take the gunfights, take the advantage, and relax for the final three. The Toxic Babe canister is going to be the big bookmark to the end of round number 10. Wildcard. 2 flawless rounds, 1 extremely dominant round. I mean, there's nothing to stop this one from going OT, Jesse.
Certainly would be a great game to send it there after, again, the day that we've had. Some fast games, a longer one in game 3, but we're still looking for our first overtime. I hate to criticize Rival just a couple days after his birthday, but not having a huge impact on the Buck there. Too slow to walk up Aqua to provide that second dimension, but also not able to get the Clash from down below. Feels like he had to accomplish one of those 2 objectives if his team was going to make that push happen, but didn't manage to find either of those, meaning it was really just the 2-man push in through rafters, which didn't stand a whole lot of a chance.
I think you need to play the Deimos below.
That would have been nice too, yeah.
The book's just too outdated. Like, the Deimos it's much more pinpoint. The book is just rip open the floor and see what you can get. But when you've got the Deimos, if you get the timing right, and you see some of the good Deimos players when they play vertically on this site, like Citizen or Paolu's another. Paolu used to play book on this site all the time. Switched over onto the Deimos, and it's just devastating. And again, I just don't feel like we're seeing the correct operators being brought by Envy. We're seeing a heck of a lot of Twitch. Now, I get it, Twitch is great, but there are other ways and means. This round we've got the Zephyr, we've got a Dokeby and a Glaz.
Torch ready.
Are they going to try something a little bit cheesy? We've got the Maverick, so could of course try and get a couple of kill holes. But we've already spoken about how the Maverick, despite being very popular, is also very risky.
Oh,
Case in point,
no.
Spiker, brilliantly timed. You can't afford to be Maverick and open those walls. You need a little bit more surety that you're going to be all right doing so. You've got to get the vert first.
The thing is, though, Ollie, I think they got the wall soft. So at the very least, they can make an entry point. Indeed, the wall is soft. They can start to open it now. If they didn't get that, it's probably GG's on the round because they have sunk everything into this Glaz plant strategy. They're going to go in through the assembly wall with a smoke. They're going to try to get some kills and cover JJ as he tries to get that plant down. They could go Animus. They could go in through assembly as well. I think it's going to be a little bit safer for them trying to push in through assembly just because it's going to be awkward getting this wall open and you can't cover quite as well with the Glaz, but it's also very obvious if you're trying to go for a smoke plant just in the assembly wall, and there are 3 nitros down to 2 now on the side of Wildcard to deny that, so no great option. Here comes the drop down and just a bait with the first smoke on Animus door.
Aiden just trying to force a little bit of a reaction there from Wildcard. See if you can bait out any of that utility, but Wildcard standing firm. JJ gonna make his way through kitchen now. It looks like he's got a bit of information ahead of him. Emilio does have a couple of drones to play with. He's got 1 in tank and 1 inside of assembly, I believe. So there is a little bit of information out there, but it really only is a little bit. Another big flaw in this Envy plan is that they've got no vert. There's very little that they can do in terms of opening up vert. Aiden will find one onto Bay and a second onto Baby Shark, but it comes at the cost of 2 kills in the reverse direction. Both Rival and Snake have fallen now. A desperate drop through EXO, and JJ announcing himself to Kansan a little bit early. Final kill will be a trade, but it doesn't matter for Wildcard. They had an advantage, and they've almost leveled things up in the game as well.
Nitro's absolutely critical in that round. The first one onto the Maverick, giving him the initial control into the man count advantage, and then the second one as well, coming in huge to clean up Snake, who was, I believe, already down to the bottom of Warehouse, but even still, it's that value getting out of these explosives that are really unmatched on the side of Wildcard. It's pulling them back in. The entry, the roam clearing glass was something that was a bit new, but Aiden certainly made it look good. None of his teammates able to do a whole lot with it. Yes, you get a triple kill clearing those roamers up above, but by the time you got to the roam clear, the round was already so late. I was really sure they were going to go all in for that rush into assembly, something we used to see way back when Nighthaven came out. It's maybe a cheesy strategy, but it can find success from time and time again. But instead, they choose to pivot. They go for what seemingly looked like was going to be a push in through EXO, then you just cover it from the breach. And then they send everybody up to the top floor, and it just felt like they had 3-4 different plans in that round, and none of them were really able to come together.
No, a lot of different plans, and none of them seen even to the halfway point, it feels. Because they didn't bring any vert, so there was no intention of taking above. Yep. And then, yet halfway through the round, they just pivot into taking above anyway. It just didn't make any sense. It is kind of difficult sometimes to see the logic behind these MV pushes, because I do feel like it is a little bit confused sometimes. Wildcard have certainly taken a lot of advantage of that tonight. One round away from leveling things up right now. Both timeouts used. Wildcard using theirs extremely early. Envy, again, using theirs at, I think, around the 6-3, 6-2 mark. So kind of early in terms of the half, but the writing was kind of on the wall for how this half was going to go for them. And how the game has gone, really, with attacks struggling a lot on both sides. Oh, that's not going to make it any easier. It's an expensive price for placing a Nomad out there.
Clear up Aiden, who's been struggling a little bit these last couple of rounds. Again, the rookie coming in for Envy, new this stage. Wildcard, I'll repeat myself, 0-3 this stage in games that have gone at least 12 rounds. They've not been good at closing out these tight games, but this feels completely different to the last couple of weeks. They are in full control of the momentum. They just need one more, and they're playing so aggressive, so confident. They find Bay top Rafters. He's been a power position, and Spiker too. They need some more play out of Baby Shark.
I don't know how much is left in Baby Shark's tank. He's already 15-6. You're asking for a big performance there for him to try and keep his team in it right now. Minute 20 left on the clock. Top floor control has now been gained. No C4s, 3 Toxic Babe canisters. And interestingly, we have a Deimos brought into the mix. Rival, he's got all 3 remaining defenders available on the track.
You cannot stall out now if you're Envy. You've got to keep the pace going. You've gotten top floor for free. You got to make sure you're in control of that. You've got to make sure you're aware of the Baby Shark flank. I said we needed to see a big play out of him. His teammates weren't doing so, but it might just be a bait as the plant's starting to go down.
Well, Emilio's getting that down under the cover of JJ. Baby Shark, try as he might. It's not stopped the plant from going down, although Snake has fallen. Quite a hefty retake on the cards right now as Rival takes Baby Shark down. It would be so cruel for this to come so close and yet fall at the final hurdle, but that's what's going to happen as Rival secures the final kill from above onto Kansan, and Envy eventually get it over the line. A massive advantage at the half, but Wildcard, they fought tooth and nail, but it wasn't enough. Again, an overtime eludes us tonight, Jesse.
3 more points for Envy. They're not going to be too sad about that whatsoever. And a 4th game this stage that Wildcard will choke out just at the end. Devastating for them. We've got one more game to play tonight, and it's Shopify versus M80, so you're going to want to watch it. Before we get to that, an interview with our winners and the desk right after this.
Reset. Let me take the con off my tracks.
Yep.
He's in warehouse. And store shit.
Nice, let's go.
Really good shot.
We don't want
Good
this shit easy.
shit, good shit, good
7-5,
shit.
7-5,
Alright, good job.
7-5.
It was a little shaky, but we got it.
All right, that's a statement from JJ. We don't want it easy. 7-5, 7-5, 7-5. But with that 7-5, they do manage to close out another game and get some couple more points under their belt. We said that this was going to be their test, and we have JJ as well standing by to give us more insight. Yeah, take your time, bro.
What's going on,
All
guys?
right. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm great. I'm great.
Yeah, I can tell. You know, your dancing skills, let's talk about those, because before we even got into the game, you were, I don't know if you were aware, but because your camera was live, they were showing you dancing on stream. Yeah, okay. So is that like your pre-game ritual?
Yeah, I get nervous, so I put on some songs and I just start dancing and acting like a clown on the court, get the vibes going, have the team have some fun, release some nerves, just have some fun, you know?
Yeah, honestly, I think that's a really good way to get it out. You know, I think we've done that sometimes. Like when you get to a LAN event, you can break them out on LAN stage.
Do it right now.
Hopefully it's Munich. No, I will not do it right now. My question is, you know, obviously you guys beat Wildcard today. That's another level of echelon of team that you guys have been able to beat. What do you feel like is the hardest thing for you guys to be able to beat not only lower teams, but to beat those top tier teams that are always getting to the top 4? What do you feel like that's that hurdle that you guys are slowly climbing over?
Preparation, bro. Last week showed it. Because I feel like you guys are gonna ask about SSG game and everything. Like the biggest thing we're noticing now that like we beat all. I know. I read this stuff. I'm good with content. I read the interviews. These guys are like the separation is like they prep so well. The lower end teams like they just kind of show up and do their stuff that like you know they do. Like when we played C9, like we scrimmed them like a month before on like Lair, and they did the same stuff they did on Lair in that scrim. But like SSG showed up and like completely tore apart the exact stuff. You can't change much in a day, right? Like they mimicked everything. They even did the same bans LFO did, and they like destroyed us. So like I would also say that this was like one of the first games like as a T1 team, like we've actually put like a week of like hard prep into beating Wildcard and came up with like a completely new game plan that revamped like the map just to beat them. So like this was probably like the first like edition of us like really diving into prep work.
Well, then speaking more into that, when you guys are prepping, what are things that you're like in particular looking at, whether that's from a certain play style, whether that's a strat, whether that's just the, you know, the overall prep that goes into it? Like, what are the key areas, even for yourself being the IGL, that you're focusing on to obviously, you know, this game, realistically, I don't think you really wanted it to be this close. I think you wanted to get it done in a quicker fashion. But, you know, what do you take from that? And then again, just as the prep as a whole.
Yeah, so obviously like, this is like kind of like most of all of our guys like first like go in pro league, so like we don't have much experience. Going into this stage, I reached out to Geo, who like the TSM and Sonic Geo, and asked him how he went about preparing for like games and stuff and everything. And so he shared some stuff that like made a lot of sense. Where like we're just kind of focusing on like stylistic matchups with our opponents. And like one thing, like we study how every team plays, so we know like what their style is and what to expect, and like we just play around that. So like Wildcard, we just like Baby Shark can't help himself but the backstab every round on Dokkaebi. He loves Dokkaebi, and like we're like backstabbing with like a random op. So we took Dokkaebi out the game and just played heavy intel and just knew where everyone was on defense, right? And just like had intel to do anything we wanted to do. So like that was kind of like our ideology there, just like kind of countering their play style.
And then to just follow up, just with you being the IGL, when you guys are doing all this prep, you have everything laid out. When you're in the game, especially in those mid to late rounds, when you notice something isn't going a certain direction, how do you kind of reel everyone back in and then change the approach and what you guys want to do?
Yeah, I think like when the round started to slip for us on attack, like we were like definitely like trying to counter how they were playing, like we had a game plan of how we wanted to kind of cheese them on attack, and like it worked for the first round or two, but then like they kind of started dealing with it, so we had to kind of get back into the rhythm of just like slowing the pace down and playing methodical siege, which like that last round we kind of got back to. So it's just like understanding like, all right, hit the reset and just like close this game out and just do the stuff we know that works rather than trying to be a little like fancy with it.
No, absolutely, it worked.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a treat to have you guys in the league. The personality, the vibes, the gameplay. It's been really great interviewing you so far as well. So again, congratulations.
Can I say something?
Yeah, absolutely.
Go
crazy.
Oh, thank gosh. Yo. So first of all, I made Spiker all the way back in like 2020 and when we were in T3 on the Rangers. Like I taught him how to IGL. Let's keep that in a buck. Two, the only reason those guys ever got to Atlanta is because they're a partner team. They're never going to Atlanta again. All right. So I just had to make sure everyone was aware of that. All right. Anyway, that's all I got.
Okay, talk your shit, King. I mean, you know what? I love the energy. Hopefully we'll see you around for another interview. Enjoy the evening.
Thank you so much. See you guys next week.
See ya. Next week, it's a promise, by the way.
Yeah.
They're doing this again. But it's so nice to have players come into the league and they're performing well. They have the energy. They have the charisma. It's great. It's amazing content.
I was honestly going to say, like, Envy feels like the first time in a while where a team has joined the NAL and actually strive to improve. And we see that, like, him saying the stylistic matchups, that's something that I feel like only experienced players would ever understand. Like, oh, DZ's slow, you know, M80's aggressive, SSG's, you know, coming in at all different angles. And they're understanding it within their first year of being in the Pro League. You know, teams like LFO and Cruelty definitely need to be able to take some notes on how Envy's been performing so far. But, you know, it really is amazing to see that level of improvement and them actively doing it. And I do think today was a statement, being able to beat Wildcard. They're one step closer to being able to crack those teams in the top 4.
Now, sure, maybe their attacks can be a little cleaner. I don't think, again, they wanted to keep it that close, but I think it's true with what you were talking about. You know, they look to be the most improved with everything that they're doing. And even asking him, you know, how do you reel in back around and realize, okay, things are going wrong. What do we want to do to fix it? And he was talking about, you know, they went in with a plan. They wanted to cheese and, you know, make these rounds go in their favor. They started to realize that they're adapting, they're understanding. So then they're going to switch back a different sort of play style. And then even towards the end, I mean, the second to last round, they went for that rush, then to immediately then play their own pacing into the next round, into the last round, into round 12, and close it out flawlessly. I think it's a very good dynamic and a very good understanding from JJ to be able to switch play styles around depending on the situation, depending on the site, and not just solely rely on the one strat that you have in mind the second you go into the round.
Yeah, that's also further highlighted in round 5, if I remember this correctly. And that's the one that you wanted to
Yes, this was a very beautiful defensive round. We've seen it throughout the league. It's not like they came up with this, but it's still smart. It clearly shows that they're taking, whether from other regions, whether just watching from VODs that happened in the past, but using this clash on top of Exo stairs to be able to stall out, feed that information, play the C4 below was genius, to say the least. And then to just be able to follow up and collapse on all of Wildcard here to just shut this round out to make it flawless. I mean, it really does paint that picture of what Fox is saying, that they want to improve. They are looking to be the most improved team in terms of a team that comes up from T2 to T1. And, you know, they're making a statement here of being a relevant team throughout the league.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's just like the improvement that we've seen from Envy. I mean, it's night and day difference between stage 1 and stage 2. And that is what we wanted to see from every single one of the teams that joined. That's what we wanted to see from Wildcard. We wanted to see that from Standby. We wanted to see that from Cruelty. And we were hoping to see that from all of them. And Envy is really the one that has been delivering, not just on the server, but also off of it. And I think that's a beautiful thing to see. For Wildcard, though, I mean, that honeymoon period has completely fizzled out. They need to kind of go back to the drawing board and figure out where to go from here. But either way, we still have one more game, one more best of 1 of the day, and that's the one that probably most of us have been looking forward to the most. M80 against Shopify Rebellion, the fight for the first seed slot here during the regular stage in the NAL, and it's gonna be coming up after the break.